Power isn't always in what you say. Sometimes it's in what you don't. And with Barron Trump, he didn't write the rule book on celebrity, he burned it. In a family known for breaking the internet, he became famous for never touching it. In a world that demands we all have a voice, he chose silence, and somehow that made him the loudest one in the room. He's the tallest Trump, the quietest Trump, the most mysterious Trump. While the world screamed his father's name, he said nothing, and that silence became his superpower. This is the story of the boy who grew up in a golden tower, moved into the White House at 10 years old, and became the internet's most protected mystery. Barron William Trump enters the world as the only child of Donald and Melania Trump.
That's Barron. He's strong, he's smart, he's tough, he's vicious, he's violent.
Born into unfathomable wealth, but that's not what makes him different. What makes him different is what comes next. The boy lived like royalty in a literal golden penthouse, but his mother kept him hidden from the cameras that devoured everything else about the Trump name. And here's where it gets interesting. Most celebrity kids crave the spotlight. They leak their own photos, they start Instagram accounts, they give interviews. Barron did none of that. He was being trained for something the world didn't understand yet, the power of absence. November 8, 2016. Donald Trump wins the presidency. America erupts, the world watches, and somewhere in that chaos, a 10-year-old boy's life changes forever. But here's what nobody expected. Barron didn't move to Washington immediately. While his father took office in January 2017, Barron stayed in New York with his mother, finishing his school year at Columbia Grammar and Preparatory School. 5 months, the president's son living away from the White House. The media went crazy. Where's Barron? Why isn't he in D.C.? But Melania didn't blink.
I was here in New York with the son Barron, and we both watched it.
I want to have at least one parent in New York with him. This wasn't just a mother protecting her son. This was strategic silence in action. By the time Barron finally arrived at the White House in June 2017, he'd become a ghost. Paparazzi photos were rare. Interviews didn't exist. Social media presence, zero. At an age when most kids are building their online identity, Barron Trump had none, and the world became obsessed. Here's what people don't understand about power. Sometimes the less you say, the more powerful you become. Look at the pattern. August 2020, Barron tests positive for COVID-19. No statement from him, just a brief mention from Melania. The story fades in days because there's no fuel to feed it. January 2021, the Trumps leave the White House. While his father fights to overturn the election, while his siblings tweet and hold rallies, Barron boards Marine One without a single word to the cameras. 6'7" at just 15 years old, taller than his father, taller than his Secret Service agents. Stone-faced, silent, gone. And here's where it gets beautiful. The internet fell in love. Not with the loud Trumps, not with the tweeting Trumps, not with the controversial Trumps. They fell in love with the one who said nothing. Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, the boards lit up. Protect Barron at all costs. Leave Barron out of this. Barron is just a kid. Something unprecedented was happening. In an era of brutal political division, where families were torn apart over red and blue, people from both sides agreed on one thing: leave Barron alone. Chelsea Clinton defended him. The Daily Show writers pulled jokes about him. Even Trump's harshest critics drew a line.
I respect his children. His children are incredibly able.
But why? Because Barron never gave them anything to attack. No controversial tweets, no leaked photos from parties, no interviews where he says the wrong thing. He mastered the first rule of power that his father never learned: control the narrative by giving them nothing. December 2022, Trump announces his 2024 campaign.
Announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
The whole family appears on stage. Eric speaks, Don Jr. speaks, Ivanka speaks, Tiffany speaks. The camera pans to Barron, now 18 years old, sitting with the delegates. He stands. The crowd loses their minds, chanting his name. Barron, Barron, Barron. He waves once, sits back down, doesn't speak. And in that moment, he did something genius. He acknowledged the power they were giving him without diminishing it by speaking. Musicians call this leaving space in the music. The silence is as important as the sound. August 2024. News breaks that Barron is enrolling at New York University's Stern School of Business. Not a statement from him, not an interview, just a brief press release. By now, we know the pattern. Barron Trump doesn't do press tours. He doesn't do reality shows. He doesn't do podcasts or TikToks or Instagram lives. He just exists. And that existence, it's deliberate, it's calculated, it's brilliant. But here's what nobody saw coming. November 2024. Trump wins the presidency again.
And look what happened.
The political experts are shocked. How did he win the youth vote? How did he dominate social media? Then the stories start leaking. Politico reports that Barron was instrumental in getting his father on podcasts. Joe Rogan.
He said, Dad, you gotta go out, do Joe Rogan, do all these guys.
Aiden Ross, Logan Paul, shows his father would never have considered. Barron has been very involved in selecting the new media creatives, someone from the campaign reveals. Think about this. While staying completely silent himself, Barron was orchestrating his father's media strategy behind the scenes. He understood something fundamental. His generation doesn't watch cable news. They watch 3-hour podcast conversations. They watch Twitch streams. They scroll TikTok. And he built the blueprint. But did he take credit? Did he do a press tour about how I got my father elected? No. He enrolled at NYU, moved into a dorm, faded back into the shadows. Here's what makes Barron different from every political legacy before him. The Kennedys courted the cameras, the Clintons wrote books, the Bushes gave interviews, the Obamas signed Netflix deals. Barron does none of that. At 19 years old, he's already more famous than most celebrities, yet most people couldn't tell you 3 facts about him. What's his favorite food? No idea. What does his voice sound like? Barely heard it. What are his political views? He's never stated them. And this is not by accident. In an age of oversharing, he's mastered the art of mystery. In an era of hot takes, he's perfected the power of silence. In a world that demands constant content, he's given them nothing, and they love him for it. Barron was 9 years old when Donald Trump announced his first campaign in 2015, and when his father left office the first time, Barron was 14. When his father won again, Barron was 18. He spent his entire childhood and adolescence in the eye of the most chaotic political storm in American history. And through it all, he never broke, never spoke out, never melted down on social media, never wrote a tell-all book. The other political kids became commentators, influencers, and reality stars. Barron Trump became a symbol that in a world of constant noise, silence is revolutionary, that in an age of oversharing, mystery is magnetic, that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is absolutely nothing. People always ask, what will Barron do next? And that's exactly the point. Nobody knows, and that's why we can't stop watching.